going back to this example of introduction. Here, ABC company is a small, so you start like this. This is just an example, so I don't want this to be copied and everybody would have the same introduction. Okay? ABC company is a small company with 11 computers on a peer-to-peer network which is not being fully utilized. There are different operating system and application software installed on each machine, and with some lacking proper licensing. Okay? My goal as an IT specialist employed by ABC is to check the hardware already available in the company, analyze the IT environment as a whole, then recommend, purchase, and implement the new equipment, hardware, and software, and set the procedures and processes for the smooth transition into the new place. Okay? So it means that if there is any data already there on the machines, old machines, somehow you need to back it up and obviously bring it into the new place. If there are software that they're using and they need to still be using it here, you need to make sure that the hardware and the operating system that you're going to organize for the new place would be compatible with the old stuff. Okay? Now, if there is a new version of software, for example, if you're running a 32-bit software in the old place of something, and then you come to the new place and your machines, they have more than 4 gig of RAM, as you know, if there is a 32-bit operating system, the RAM is not going to be recognized. Only 3 point something of it is going to be recognized. So if you, for example, come up with a suggestion that says, well, I'm going to have 19 PCs for this place, plus say 4 laptops, and each of these machines, they're going to have 8 gig of RAM, and you're going to have a 32-bit operating system running on these machines. These operating system will not be able to utilize all the 8 gig of RAM that is available. Why? Because they're 32-bit operating system. Now, if you've got a software that runs on a 32-bit machine, say Windows XP, and now you're running a 64-bit, you have to check the compatibility for that particular software and this new one. Now, because we don't know what software we're already using there, it's all presuming things. Okay, giving an example. So you need to give examples to show me that you understand what the issues are. All right?
Sorry, Mehran.
Yeah.
You completely lost me there because we haven't spent a lesson on any of that.
That's okay.
I to be perfectly honest, I don't understand anything you just said. So, what do you want me to do? Do you just want me to write?
No, we go through it and I'll explain. As I explained.
Yeah.
Okay. So you mean about the 64-bit and 32-bit? Okay. We're gonna go through that after our discussion. That's okay. So, where are we now? So there are 19 employees, and they are spread across different departments. Now, if you read the assignment, there is an accounting department. There is what else? What other departments are there? So does anybody? Okay, manager, administration, accounting. So administration has got 5 positions. Accounting has got 1 position. Sales has got 2 positions. Orders and scheduling has got 4 positions. Stores got 3 positions. Maintenance got 3 positions. So there are 19 people spread across all of these positions. By reading this, and obviously you know that manager used to have a laptop that he takes home. So again, whether you want to allocate a PC to the manager and a laptop, it's up to you. These are decisions that you need to make. Administrations are the people sitting in the front, like Theberton Senior College, dealing with people coming in and answering the phones, typing letters and so on. So you need to decide whether you need to have 5 computers for them, or 4 computers for them, or 3 computers, or whatever. Accounting, there is 1 position, so again 1 computer is allocated. You would have accounting software like Maya there. That's just one example. You might come up with another software. Sales, you have 2 positions. Now these are the people that actually need to go out and they need to find customers and they need to sell the products. Okay? So you need to decide whether you need to allocate a laptop for each person and a PC sitting in their office, or whether you want to give them just a PC and say, look, you go outside and do whatever, do your talking, come back with the information and type in. But you need to decide whether you want to allocate laptops or pads or just a PC. Orders and scheduling, this is a position that obviously there's 4 people there, and these people will...
Sorry, I didn't know.
Okay.
Not just programs.
Some of these, it requires...
Do you know what like software a transportation company uses to run their whole business off of?
I would say Maya would be one.
Say what?
Maya, MYOB.
What's that?
Mind your own business.
It's a software. Some of these require you guys to go online and do a fair bit of research online. Go to shops, come to me, and basically say, look, this, say, sales, Mehran, I don't know much about what people do for sales, or what I've explained to you here, that these people basically, their job is to go outside with a catalog, show the product to the customer and say, look, we sell this, we can provide you with this equipment, do you want to buy it or not? Now, do you think it's better to have this as a piece of paper and a booklet, or have it on a laptop and sitting in a conference room of somewhere and then show it to people and get orders and whatever? So it's your decision, you know what I mean? But most of these require you guys to go online and do a fair bit of research. Now, in terms of software, I'll go through this again, and hopefully this might make some stuff clear. Initially in the class, if you remember, we said a computer is software plus hardware, if you remember that. And we talked about hardware being input devices, output devices, storage devices, processing, and communication. But we're looking at the software here. So software, you have low-level software, and you have high-level software. Okay? Low-level, if you remember, we said is drivers and BIOS, the code in the BIOS, and high-level is OS and apps, application software. And then what we had was utility software. Okay. Is everybody okay with the drivers or not? Do you know what drivers are or not? Yes? Anybody doesn't know? BIOS? Everybody okay with that? No? Yes? Okay. Operating system. If you remember, we said there are many different examples, and basically the job of an operating system is to make the hardware or provide an interface for the user. Okay. Also, allow the hardware to work together. Okay. And operating system, the examples of it, we said Linux. You have been dealing with Windows XP, Windows 7, Linux. We said there are different versions of it, like Exandros, Ubuntu, and so and so. Windows 7, there is a 32-bit and a 64-bit. Okay. Now, the difference between a 32-bit and 64-bit is the amount of data that is processed, okay, or the information that is processed. 32-bit operating system obviously will work with less than, or recognizes less than 4 gig of RAM. 64-bit recognizes this 4 gig and more. I'm sweating like a horse. Yeah.
Do you know what the max amount of RAM this 64-bit can take?
Sorry?
Depends on the operating system.
Is that the 32-bit if you have more than 4 gig of RAM in it, the 32-bit operating system cannot recognize anything more than 4 gig. I think it's 3.8 or something. Okay? So therefore, the rest of the RAM is not used. 64-bit, if you put an operating system 64-bit on the system, it can recognize anything more than 4. But I think the maximum, I'm not sure whether it's a 32 gig or something, I'm not sure. I think, but there is a maximum for it. So therefore, for the purpose of this exercise, the machines that you come up, the specs that you come up with, you need to decide whether you want to have a 32-bit operating system or 64-bit. Another thing that I mentioned here, or mentioned right now here, is you look at the example for Theberton Senior College. If I can get this up. Come on. Okay. Okay, this one is a 32-bit operating system. Yeah? Here in the college, and if you see here, it says 4 gig, 32.4 gig usable. You see that? So it means that it can't really recognize all the 4 gig. So for the computers at Theberton Senior College, they decided to go with the 32-bit operating system. They could have easily gone with the 64-bit, but they haven't. The reason is that if there is a software here, and we use a lot of software like AutoCAD and the other stuff that we had from Windows XP, that we basically came or we didn't have to buy the licenses anymore. So if you wanted to use this software, we had to spend a lot of money buying the 64-bit version. And basically the college said, hey, look, why do we go and buy this software? If we can put a 32 gig operating system here, let's put it here, and with a 4 gig of RAM, and it's running the software. AutoCAD might be struggling with this because it got 4 gig, but they made a decision, they went with it. So again, with this assignment, a lot of decisions that are made is your decision. I can't say whether they're right or wrong. As long as you justify it and say, look, I'm going with this machine, with this spec, for this group of people, and I'm going to go with this particular specification for this machine, for this group of people, and this is the reason. Nick Valens or whoever that made the decision to do these sort of things with this particular environment here, and if you look at the machines in T1 and T2, they might have a 64-bit operating system on them. Okay? So when they made the decision, they looked at some of the factors and said, look, this is the best option right now. All right? So hopefully what I'm saying is helping a little bit, I hope.
Yeah.
Is it helping or not?
Well, we've done it, yeah.
That's good, okay. So going back to this assignment again, what I've written here, from here there are 19 employees and they are spread across different departments. From here onward, so this is basically what I'm telling you guys, from here onward you need to decide how many computers are allocated to each department and what their specs are. So, for example, if you're going to say, I want to allocate, there are 5 or 6 different departments, I want to allocate, and this is what you do, you go either to Dell, or you go to HP, they all have online facilities on the website that you can actually build machines online, gives you the price, everything, okay? So you come up with the specification for this. So the specification would be CPU, hard disk drive space, RAM, we're not going to worry about motherboard, LAN, sound, video, again, video, we're not playing video games, so everything can be on board. Okay, to keep the cost down.
What if it's like an engineering program or something?
Well, that's a thing. That's where you need to look at this.
They're going to need an engineering program in the software, in AI transport.
Yeah, but that was a good question. But that was a good question because you might say, look, in the orders and scheduling, there is a particular software that I found on the internet that they use, and that software requires, in the specification for the software, it says it requires 6 gig of RAM. Or whatever, or say off-board video. So it all depends on what software you find and what sort of requirements it needs, or it has. Okay, so CPU, hard drive, RAM, LAN, what else? Screen. What size screen do we need? Keyboard and mouse. 2 or 3 pages of specifications and just bang it in there. And they think that, well, I've written 3 pages of information for you, and my report, it has 10 pages. 3 of it is this. Okay? So all you need to do basically to give me this, and then the way you say it, you say, well, this particular specification for this particular machine is I'm going to apply it across the whole company. Okay? 19 computers, they're going to have these specs. And then you talk about the server. Okay? Now, with this one also, you have OS and standard apps. And I think I've talked to you about standard apps and whatever before, but I'll talk to you about it again. And then you have specific apps. Okay. Now, after you say, look, I'm going to have this specification, or I'm going to buy the machine with this specs, and I'm going to buy 19 of them, or I'm going to buy 5 of them for this, and I'm going to buy another 3 machines with the different specs for this, and buy another 3 different machines with different specs for this, and as long as you justify and say why you're doing this, I'm okay with it. But remember, the whole point of this exercise is creating a standard environment, okay, or IT environment with hardware and software. Why do we want to do that? Why they went ahead with this room and came up with these laptops, all the same. Same operating system, same application software, same antivirus. Why did they do that? Cost effectiveness.
Easy to fix if one goes wrong.
Fantastic, easy to fix if something goes wrong. So for example, as I told you before initially, when I was talking a little bit about this, I said that they build one machine in terms of what they put the software on one machine. They create an image of that machine, they put it on the server, and if something goes wrong on any of these machines, all they need to do for this machine to be connected to the network, Mr. Ernest comes with his little USB flash drive, puts it in there, restart the machine. There is a batch file in the USB that will tell it to go where on the server, get this little image file or big image file, dump it in there. And the whole process will take about 15 minutes. Now imagine, and you've done a lot of installing Windows XP and installing application or whatever, and you know how long it takes, yeah? So the reason we do images is because of that. It's cost effectiveness, time, okay? Not much time is spent, and it's quick, okay? Does it make sense? So the reason they go with the standard, they try to make an environment standard in terms of hardware and software, is the cost effectiveness, time, and any other reason? Anything else? Also warranty. Warranty issues, okay? So if something goes wrong, you know what the warranty is for all of them. You don't have to go and check your logbook and say, well, that particular machine I'll report it on that day, and Dale says that the warranty is this, and that particular machine will be reported on that day, and HP says, oh, the warranty is such and such. All right? You know all of them basically what the warranty issues are with it, or the different aspects of warranty. All right. Any questions up to here?
Just the server.
That's okay. We'll get to that
That's
as well.
beginning to, I think.
We'll get to that as well. Okay. So OS again, as I said, you need to decide whether you want to have a 32-bit Windows 7 across the whole 19, or whether you want to say, look, Windows XP Professional, I think would be fantastic for this. We've got 3 licenses from the other premises. I'm going to bring them in here. I'm going to put them in this. Okay? And justify why. And then the rest of it, you need to say, well, I'm going to go with Windows 7 Professional and not the Ultimate because of the research I've done on Microsoft website, and I know that Professional is actually good for setting up networks and so on. Works a lot better. I'm not going to go with the Home Edition. Why? Because Home Edition has issues with looking at other machines on the network. And this should be your research by going to Microsoft and finding out, or maybe you want to do Linux. I had a student last year, or maybe a year before, they did the whole thing on Linux, and they basically explained beautifully why they were doing it in Linux. And he got a job. It was actually 2 years ago. And last year they got a job for their company here, and they changed the whole lot to Linux. And they bought a server from here and a few other things. And yeah, He knows exactly, knew exactly what I was talking about. So again, we better hardware. I don't know. You're okay there?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah? You sure? Is it boring?
No.
What we're saying? All right. So it's all good with this? Okay, let's look at server. Now, in the old, or in ABC Part 1, we had 11 computers. 11 computers like this, and they all connected to each other peer-to-peer. Okay, so if you have 11 computers here, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, the way they connect them together, they will get a switch or something, okay, and all of them get connected together. Or they connect them like this. It actually has to go to the switch. It goes there. It means that all of them are looking at, if they can look at each other, but there is
a tree topography there.
Sorry?
Can you set up a tree topography?
Topography?
Yeah.
What do you mean? A tree?
Yeah,
This-
like so that you link them up through each other.
With peer-to-peer, I don't think there is such a thing. I think mainly it's a client server that you can have a bus topology and star topology and ring topology and so on. With peer-to-peer, because there is no server, everything is connected together. Okay, so if one basically disconnected or two disconnected, the rest of them is still going to work. Okay, but it's not effective. It's not.
They'll put the weekly server because there's maintenance team. What's the point of the maintenance team if there's no server in one? Is it physical maintenance or is it like IT maintenance?
Well, maintenance is not just basically dealing with servers. So if something breaks down, a machine breaks down, you need to basically pick it up, take it to your office or whatever, open it up, find out what's wrong, and
So
so
they're
on.
like physical maintenance. Then.
Physical maintenance and maybe software as well. So if operating system is not working or installing antivirus and so on. Now, it could be, in part 1, it could be that you would have a server, supposedly a server, running Windows. So they could have done it like this, Windows XP, and then this Windows XP gets connected to the switch. The rest of the machines get connected to this, but it's not, so basically these, they would be sharing files here as well. But it's not a real client server, it's still a peer-to-peer, okay? Now, the problem with this is that the limit for this peer-to-peer is only 10 clients. So if you got printers, if you got 2 printers, network
How come
printers,
it's only 10 by 10?
that's what it is. That's what they say it is.
Oh, wouldn't you need? It already says there's 19 people there or something working.
No. There were 11 computers. That's what I'm saying is that in the old system, ABC Part 1, we're talking about the ABC Part 1, the system that they had, it was in a, like, not properly set up because of these issues. Well, with the new place that we're going, we're saying we're going to get a server. With the new place that we're going, we're going to get a server.
So there is a server.
Well, yeah. Even in the old place, there would be a server, but it's not a server. It's just a normal machine with Windows XP. I mean, we can set it up here as a server as well.
Yeah.
We can set up a machine with Windows XP, give it a workgroup name, domain.
Yeah.
Okay. For example, call it Office. The rest of the machines would have the same workgroup, and then they basically share files.
Yeah.
But it's not effective. It's not as fast. It's not secure. Okay. Now, with the proper server, you would be running, say, server 2003 or 2008, or server 7. Win server 7 on it. Then you would have a switch of some kind, or you would have a modem router.
And have more synced up wirelessly.
That's a good point. And this one would be a wireless modem router. That's a good point you mentioned. I'm glad.
That way, like, it's easy for laptops to connect and stuff.
Yeah, so we'll have a wireless modem router.
Is that
and
the same
from
system you have at school?
Yeah, and from here you would have it connected to a switch. Now this switch could be a 24-port switch or whatever. Okay, but remember you cannot connect another router to a router. You cannot. Okay, so you would have a wireless modem router, which everybody would have at home these days. And I'll show you what it looks like for people that are not sure. This is an example. Okay, wireless modem router. So the wireless modem router sitting there, one port connecting to the server, one port connecting to the switch. Install it, you can install it. Look exactly the same.
So what's the difference between a server operating system and a regular?
The server operating system, you add clients to it. Automatically comes with 10 CALs, it's called CAL, or clients. Okay, and you can buy more clients and add to it. With a peer-to-peer, remember there was only 10. Okay, Microsoft or for Windows, it says 10. I mean, it would work with more than 10. I've got an example. iPad construction on near Richmond. I've set up it was 3 or 4 years ago, set up a client, not a client, client server, but it was peer-to-peer, yeah? They had only 5 computers. Right now, they have about 12 computers, plus printers. So two of the machines, doesn't matter what you do, when they want to access files from the network, the files will take about 3 or 4 minutes to open. Okay? There's nothing you can do about it.
One question. With like setting up printers and stuff, right? Because that's another thing I haven't done.
Yeah?
Would you connect them wirelessly to the router? And have
No, printers you wouldn't connect wirelessly. Printers you connect them to the switch. Okay, and from the switch basically you put the drivers on the server, and then you get the drivers from the server.
It would be good to get like maybe a secondary switch and daisy chain together, so printers separate to.
Not really, because basically you're creating more problems, because the router, remember this thing is basically giving out IP addresses.
Yeah.
Can you run 2 switches off the router though?
You can, but what's the point? Because all you need to do is to get a switch with more ports built into it. Okay?
Also, would it be better to have an external firewall or just have like a router with firewall?
Firewall, remember firewall is a software and hardware combined.
Yeah.
So if Windows already has a firewall built into it, any internet security you put in, it's got a firewall built into it. So you need to decide which firewalls you need to disable and which one will do a better job. So router, if it's got a good firewall, you stay with this and disable the rest of it. Okay? So again, these points that are being mentioned here, it's good to remember, because that basically what might have to go into that report. Okay, you're okay there or not? Or you're a bit lost?
A little bit lost. But
Yeah. So remember, basically what a server is a machine that has hardware. The hardware is a little bit different to a normal machine. Okay? The RAM that is used is a little bit more advanced. It can actually check for errors and it can fix the errors. Okay? The CPU is a little bit more advanced. In some servers, you can actually, it's got 2 CPUs, and you can actually take one CPU out live. You don't turn the machine off. So you can actually disable some RAM, take the RAM off, out, put another RAM into it. Okay? Some servers you can do it. But a normal server, this is a normal server. That's one example of a server. Looks like a normal machine. Okay? And that's another example of a server. Now this baby, when you turn it on, sounds like a jet engine. So anybody wants to turn it on, you can. So the hard drive, obviously, you see is different to this. You can take them out, put them back in. Okay? So also this one has a fiber optic port. Okay, so that might work a lot faster when you're connecting it to a server. And the normal thing is it's got a DVI, no VGA, 3 LAN ports. Okay?
That's a server computer?
That's a server, yeah. Okay, that's a rack mount server. It's got a normal, like a CD player. It's got its own testing section, and so on. So if anybody wants to hook this up later on, have a look at it, or if you want to have a look inside of it, you should be able to do it for you. If you can't, have a look here. This is the server. So number of fans, CPU double, RAM special RAM. Okay. So this is what it is. It's a little bit more specialized. All right. So if you want to turn it on later on and see what it sounds like, you can. Sounds like a jet engine. Great. All right. So going back to this now, the server side of it and the network side of it, I'm not really that much worried about it. Because all I need from you is to basically realize that there would be a server with a server operating system. There will be a modem router, which could topology or ring topology. That's for your networking class. That's not for this class. All it is for this class, yeah.
Oh, we finished with the same class.
All it is for this class is to basically be able to recognize that there are different hardware that you need to use and the operating system.
Alright, with the server operating system, if you're running all your computers off Windows 7, you have to use Windows Server 7?
You don't have to.
So what's the disadvantages and advantages of different server
Well,
operating systems?
Obviously, each of these, you're just saying what's the disadvantage of Windows XP and Windows 7 and Windows 98. So obviously there would be different newer technologies that are brought into this.
So would it be smartest to go with Windows 7 because it's the most updated and you won't have to update?
Yeah, but cost will play a big role.
Well,
And also support. Windows Server 2003, they don't support it anymore. They don't sell it actually anymore. 2008, they still sell it, but the support is basically being reduced. Windows 7, now it's out there.
So that's the one you want to go with.
Yeah.
And you also want to stick with Windows 7 as your operating system in general.
Well, that's your choice. That's your choice. One more thing that is extremely important for this exercise is the warranty and support, manufacturer support, okay, from whoever you get it from. You don't want to go on eBay and find some machines on eBay that they sell it for $300 each and you can make a basically saving the company about $500. Because if something goes wrong with these machines, you're in a big pool. Because the company expects this machine to be up and running, say for example, within 4 hours or 5 hours. If something goes wrong with the server here in the college expects these servers to be up and running the most, maybe the next day, okay? If you buy a server from Leader Computer Systems, 2-hour time frame. So as soon as you call them, they've got 2 hours to come and fix it up and get it running. Okay? So that becomes very important. If you're doing it for say individuals, that's no problems. You do it for John, Jack, George, whatever. You say, look, Matt, if it breaks down, I'm going to take it to MSY, and they're going to ask me to come back in 2 months' time. You happy with that? If they say no, you have to fork out the money out of your pocket, buy the hard drive, put it in the machine, wait for the hard drive to come in, and then you flog it off somewhere else. But with the business, you can't. You can't take a risk. You have to make sure that the warranty and support is there and extended. Like you can't have a 1-year warranty. Some businesses also, they lease this stuff. So that's another option that you might want to look into. Instead of buying it, lease it. Some of these companies, or most of them, they lease their servers. Australian Defence, that's a big corporation anyway. It's not compared to ABC company. But they basically, everything that they have is IBM and is leased. And my brother was saying the server is basically with the size of 2 of these rows of cabinets together. So they actually lift them up with forklift. They have special rooms, they can't pick it up and go. Alright? So, any questions, guys? And remember, very important, if you're still a bit lost, you can come and talk to me. I'm happy to sit down and go through it with you again. But this document that I've just printed will help a lot. Also, reading the notes in system IT evaluation. Okay? Evaluating IT system on Moodle. That's got all the questions that is required for you to think about and ask, and also whatever goes with the answers with the questions. Anything you want to ask? Anything? Anybody not sure about some part of it? No? Remember, you got to get started from somewhere. Okay? You got to get started. And I think the introduction that I've got here will be a good starting point. Okay? And to be honest with you, it's not a complicated exercise. It's not. It just needs a fair bit of, I would say, not a lot of time, but a fair bit of time for you guys to do a lot of research on the internet about where can I buy the server, where can I buy the machines, can I get them locally, which companies are selling servers and machines locally. Well, there's Leader Computer Systems, anywhere. There is piece it with yourself, lots of it. Even MSY, if some of you are fond of MSY, you know, why not? But it's just a matter of going out there, asking questions, researching, and so on. Any questions? The people who have not done